over here.
Let's scroll down and talk about the scenario that we'll be solving with Spark Declarative Pipelines. Let's pretend you are a data engineering team for a company, and your company has 3 stores. In this case, we have Bright Home Orders, Lumina Sports, and North Star Outfitters. Each of these stores has its own team that is placing sales data within 3 separate cloud storage locations. And files are landed into these locations daily for daily sales. Our job is to take all 3 of these cloud storage locations and bring in all the data into a single streaming table So we're going to use multiple flows to write to a single target. We then will go through the Magellan architecture and create a silver schema with the data tree and the custom data quality expectations, and then we'll end with feature-like views for purposes. Now, the key throughout the process is Spark declares pipelines will incrementally process new files from cloud storage as they are added. So we're not doing full batch reads on our cloud storage locations. So that's our scenario. Let's start by selecting our compute environment that will
Pra
select the
cima!
system instance, and we'll confirm we are on the version. Now, other versions may work, but they were not tested. They were tested on serverless compute version 4. And depending on where you're running this, we will be running this in our Databricks Academy provided workspace or Ethereum. And all you need to know is that you will
Não
click
me
on
façam.
called Lab User
Vocês que
Experience
estão
Controls,
atacando.
and that is your that you can run and you can marketplace data. So in marketplace data already set up for you. It's called details. You can store data in a separate
Isso é tudo?
the share is already set up, so this variable just produces a block that is shared of the details cells
Vai acabar bem pra você.
and we have data. And next, this is big our catalog.
Isso foi tudo?
Some setup scripts to be run by the setup script. Let's run the setup script to talk to the this script is going to create three simple scripts. And the volume in the ROM schema that will have our storage one file being so let's walk through this. Everything looks setting up perfectly. Loading our files, and we have our just information about our share that we're using, our catalog, our schemas, and then our this print this my vol path variable, and this will just point dynamically to the volume where our data lives, our raw cloud storage data. And let me show you that real quick so you're aware of your environment. So you will have a lab user catalog. We have our three schemas that I promised you earlier. And in here we have three volumes with one file in each to start. So let's pretend this pipeline or the sales data came in yesterday. We have one file in there to start. And this just points to this location here so we can easily get these data. Before you do anything, it's extremely important to explore your data and explore your environment. So before we start writing our pipeline, let's just take a look at our raw data in these three. So let's start with the right home orders volume, and this will just use this variable to point to this volume that we saw earlier, and this will show us that we have one CSV file for sales on 2025-11. And again, we saw that through the UI, and this is all that is telling us. I'm not going to go deep into this code, but what this will do is it'll let us explore our data. And again, we're not here to learn basic SQL, so this will just give us some exploration on our raw data so we know what we're working with. And it'll count the number of rows, it'll describe the data types from the CSV file when we try to ingest it, and we'll preview the data. First things first, this CSV file has 157 rows or 157 sales. And when we look at our data types from the read underscore files here from this describe statement, and we are letting the code infer the schema. So we can see we have strings, a timestamp, an int, a double, an int, string, and a double. And then lastly, this is just very basic fake sales data that we will be using. So the first one was a CSV file. The second one, again, is another CSV file. So Lumina Sports Orders has a single CSV file that we'll be working with to start. And same thing, this is the same code as above. We are just exploring the data. We're looking at the row count. We're looking at the default schema that is being inferred, and we're looking at a preview of the data. Lumina Sports has 110 sales. And again, we have strings, timestamps, int double, int string, and double. So those two look the same. Now let's go to the last one. So North Star Outfitters has again a single file, but this time it's a JSON file. So we can see their sales are coming in as JSON files. Now that we know that, we have CSV, CSV, and a JSON. Let's again explore the JSON file that we're about to ingest. And this one has 182 rows, but hopefully you can see that the data types are slightly different coming from JSON when we're letting this infer the schema. We have a lot of string, JSON file that we're about to ingest, and this one has 182 rows, but hopefully you can see that the data types are slightly different coming from JSON when we're letting this infer the schema. We have a lot of strings, we have a big int, string, string, and double. So what this is telling me is when we try to append all three of these into a single target, our bronze table, these data types are different. So we will have to do something to fix that. And again, it's just very simple. Sales data, that is very simple. In the real world, this can be a lot more complicated, but we will teach you the fundamentals that you need to use this moving forward. Let's do a quick summary. Bright Home Orders with CSV, 157 rows, one file. Lumina Sports, CSV, 110 rows and one file. North Star Outfitters, a JSON file with 182 rows. And if we compare the schemas of all three of those, we can see the Bright Home and Lumina Sports are reading in exactly the same. However, with North Star Outfitters, the order timestamp by default is being read in as string. The quantity is being read in as big int. Same with discount price, and order date is being read in as string. So when we create our bronze table, we will want to define the schemas and read these in correctly into the same data type for each column. So let's begin. Now, first things first, let's create the Spark declarative pipeline. Let's just double check, depending on your environment, the new Lakeflow Pipelines editor is enabled. And to do that, let's just go to our settings at the top, right click settings, and we'll open this in a new tab. And in here, if you go to developer and you search for Lakeflow, just make sure the Lakeflow Pipelines editor is turned on. And mine is already. If you're in a Dataverse Academy provided interface, it should be turned on. Double check.
Nunca te vi antes.
And let's
Me mostra
start
do que é
by
capaz.
creating our. Start by going to and right clicking and
Sério? Isso foi tudo?
open in a new tab. And we want to create a detailed give this the name, and I'll set my default catalog on user catalog, be lab user with a unique ID. It will be slightly different. And for the default schema, I will set to multi-flow 1 bronze. Again,